Bite me. Hello and welcome to Bite Me. I'm Julia Stier.
And I'm Bukola Ogunmola.
And I love vampires.
And I do not.
And welcome to season 2.
Yay!
This season we're going to be doing our guest seasons.
Yes.
So Bukola, since it's your friend joining us, would you like to give a little rundown on who's going to be joining us later?
My friend Nikhil Pai will be joining us after the viewing. So we were so excited that he can come through. He is one of our resident vampire experts.
Very excited.
So very excited for him to come in. He'll introduce himself after we come back.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And we are watching Once Bitten, which is a Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah.
So like I'm excited.
Me too.
Oh sorry, my knee is like in,
you're
in
fine.
your side. I'm really excited for that. Do you want to give us a little
Did I look it up?
No, it's okay. I'll vamp. Oh, pun intended.
Pun intended.
Also, I realized that this is like within the first minute twice. I just like threw the responsibility to Bukola both times. I was like, I don't have any info. Bukola, tell us.
Here you go.
Okay.
I can't read it without my glasses.
Oh, fair. Okay, so this is Once Bitten. Oh no. I got a 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb and a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, but 91% of Google users liked this movie.
Great.
So I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, it's a movie for the people,
Yes.
not for the critics.
Thank
Okay.
you, Juju.
You're welcome. A centuries-old vampire, the Countess, has kept her youthful look by drinking the blood of male virgins. Since she finds this prey challenging to come by, she is thrilled when she meets young Mark Kendall, Jim Carrey, who wants to lose his virginity, yet has a reluctant girlfriend, Robin. After luring Mark away from a club, the Countess drinks his blood, but the hapless guy isn't sure what has happened until he starts exhibiting unusual symptoms. That sounds funny.
That sounds hilarious.
I'm ready for this. Like I said, hey, and this falls into our category of comedy, like movies do comedy better.
Yeah.
So, very excited for that. Also,
Absolutely.
just like want to point out that I truly woke up this morning and chose drama. I very much look like I have a vampire podcast.
Yes.
I'm wearing like a red dress with a mesh shirt underneath and a bat choker.
Yes.
And we got these cool little, from Darko Mex, kind of our first
Sponsor.
somebody recognizing that we do weird,
Yeah.
fun vampire stuff. So she's got a little sun. I've got a little moon.
And we're dressed as day and night.
And we're dressed as day and night. Yeah, we were saying like I am my roommate was saying, oh, you guys remember Francesca, that I am the Lestat groupie, and she is like the young, unsuspecting maiden who's like about to seduce a vampire without even trying. Without even trying.
Yeah, I should be somewhere frolicking in the woods right now. That's exactly the vibes I was trying to give you. So, like, you're welcome.
Or I feel like you're doing something dumb, like night apple picking.
Yeah, something,
You know?
something real stupid. Like, you know? Yeah,
Like some white people stuff.
You said it.
I said it so you didn't have to. I
Thank
saw
you.
it in your eyes. I saw it. She looked at me and her mind just went the caucasity.
Julia, I love you so much. Because, like, truly was thinking, you said night apple picking, and that wasn't even an idea of an idea. Like, I wouldn't even thought to think of that idea. You know? Night apple picking. What? How am I see the apples? It's dark outside.
But I also feel like that's what they have their victims do. Like, they have them do something really dumb but really innocent that you're just like, I don't feel that bad.
Yeah. But I can't be mad at you
But I
either.
can't be mad at you because it's so sweet. Like, you're probably picking those apples to like feed an orphanage.
Yes. Apple pies.
Apple pies for the orphanage.
Yes. Instead of going to a Ralph's.
Yeah. Yeah, because you wanted it to be organic.
Anyway,
about the movie, what are your expectations for this movie?
Once Bitten, I think Francesca had a really you had a good point, so I'll let you bring it up later. Actually do it now. Sorry,
What's
so we
my
don't delay.
point?
About Once Bitten. Oh no, it was Francesca. Is it gonna have the song?
Oh well, she asked if it was okay. So she asked if it was a Christmas movie.
Yes,
because of the lyrics are once bitten and
twice shy.
Something like that. Da, 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 da. And I was talking about my eye. Tell me, baby. I hope so. I hope there's a little Christmas in there. But because what we brought up was there was like this big trend. It was more in the 90s though, and I think this came out in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But the 90s had this big trend of like picking a song kind of arbitrarily, naming the entire movie after one lyric in that song, and then playing the song once. So I was like, this will probably have that song at the end, and it'll make zero sense, and they'll be like, ah, yes, justification.
Yeah.
It's like when you read the title of a book in a book.
Yeah.
Like when you first read the word Twilight in Twilight, and you're like, ah, Twilight.
Okay, so how long was it? 5 minutes before she mentioned Twilight. I'm going to start doing the countdown, and I'm going to let you know about yourself.
Okay, to be fair, it's what we've used as our basis for this entire podcast.
True. So.
And if you guys did not watch wow, that was real Midwest of me. Or Texas, I'm not sure actually. If you guys did not watch our crossover episode with 354 Squad, we watched Twilight and is golden. We are all too way connected to that movie, and
not all of us, Julia.
And Tiana. Tiana was also, and you had a story to throw in there.
I had a story to throw in there. Poor Kendall had never seen the movie and was confused.
Kendall was sitting there in the corner like, I'm just happy to be here.
But Once Bitten, I know for a fact, this is young Jim Carrey. Mm-hmm. This is Jim Carrey from now 36 years ago, 37 if we count the year that it was filmed, and then it was released the year after. That's what I'm assuming.
That was a lot of math you did very quickly. I'm very impressed.
Thank you so much. But like, this is young Jim Carrey at the peak of hilarity.
Yeah.
Was like still in full function with the Wayans brothers. Like, this is gonna be funny, and that's what I'm expecting. Mm-hmm. And if it's not funny, I don't got no complaints. He made his money, things have happened, you know, he's lived his life and he's made other funny things. But I'm expecting this to be hilarious.
I see what you mean. It's kind of like I feel like we had a very similar assessment going into Vampires in Brooklyn, because we were like, it's an Eddie Murphy movie. Like, if this isn't hysterical, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah. And it was. And it was that definitely, yes, definitely was the it's delivered on the promise of it being what it is. So I'm expecting this to deliver as very funny. Nikhil hasn't seen this movie in a while, so I'm excited to like hear his opinions about it.
I think he recommended it to us.
Nikhil is really our resident like vampire.
He probably will know more than we do. Like, we can tell you about Vampire Diaries and like Twilight. Like, he could probably. I'm actually just making all this up. I think he can. He seems like he can.
He'll let us know about like, because he has like, he even like gave us a couple DVDs.
Yeah. Oh, he's ready.
Like, he's like prepared.
Listened to some episodes for homework. Yeah. Like, we love Nikhil.
Yes.
We're very excited.
You're gonna love him too. So
I want him to give us like a whole history lesson.
It's gonna be great. I think he will. And then we'll of course go through our checklist on if it like things that we think that it'll hit. So like, what do you think is gonna what are you expecting from this movie?
Oh my gosh. So Jim Carrey, I'm curious to see what kind of humor it's gonna be. Because his is a little quirkier, it's a little more out there. And I hope I resonate with it. That's something that I'm curious about, because I've never seen like Ace Ventura or I saw like his remake of The Mask.
Yeah, I saw that too. But I was young.
It was very like whoa, whoa, whoa. Uh-huh. So yeah, but I really liked him in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Granted, that was not a comedy, and it was an older Jim Carrey. It was so. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Also, it's the 80s. I'm expecting there to be things that do not age well.
Ooh, yes.
Especially because it's like it's got sexual content, or it's like about like a guy wanting to lose his virginity. Like, I have a feeling there's gonna be some things that we're all just like, oh,
cringe. Cringe.
We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
We never should have done that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, part of me, I'm excited, but part of me is like a little nervous of like, what's this gonna be?
That's true. That's super exciting though. Like, I'm excited to see what kind of terribleness ensues, you know? Like, now I'm like, ooh, what?
We can come in with all our wisdom and be like, incorrect.
No, not anymore. That's how I felt when I watched Veronica Mars. I was like,
oh really?
This is awkward.
When did that come out?
Veronica Mars came out in 2008.
Oh no.
And it was still one of those things where it's like, okay.
Oh no.
Cool.
I also feel like this is gonna be a little uncomfortable, because it's like an older woman, like, actually preying on a
younger man.
Yeah, like and he's supposed to be playing a high schooler. Like,
really?
Yeah, they're in high school.
Not listening. I'm so sorry.
I'm pretty sure. Wait, look that up again.
High school. Useful. No one said anything about high school.
Okay, I guess I just assumed.
Why would you assume that? Exactly. Anyway, so we're super excited. We're gonna go watch it. You guys go watch it.
And then come join us. Yeah, you know how this goes. We're gonna be talking all about it, and if you don't know what's happening, you're gonna be so confused. And don't be confused. Be in the know.
Yeah. Or you could just listen to us and then watch it after.
Or come back for the Nikhil. Wow, I'm out of it today.
Yes, just come listen to us. That's all we're saying. Continue to listen. And if you're in the car, please drive safely, focus, pay attention. And if you're at home listening and watching along, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And we'll be back in a couple.
Bye.
Bye.
Bite me.
And we're back. Let's introduce our guest.
Nikhil.
Yay.
We're doing spirit fingers for people who are listening.
Tell us about yourself.
I am an actor. I grew up in North Carolina. Love vampires.
So tell us, I want to, because Bukola bragged that you're all about the vamps. So when did your interest start?
I have my mom to blame for that. She
Thanks, Mom.
loves. Yeah, thanks, Mom. She loves these gothic horror things. So she got me these. I don't know if you guys read these things. Like these abridged versions of classics.
Yeah,
So,
like the Reader's Digest almost
Yeah,
thing. Where
so I got Jekyll and Hyde, Dracula, Frankenstein, all of those classics. So yeah.
What do you think it was that drew you to vampires specifically? Like out of all of those different horrors, or are you also like a Frankenstein aficionado?
I'm not an aficionado, but like I like the gothic horror genre, I guess. And vampires are cool because they are human and also monsters. And so it's this cool kind of, you can do a lot with that type of story, I think. So you can go the monster route, or you can go like what it is to be like the Anne Rice route, which is like the what it means to be human forever and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like a lot of questions of like morality and mortality like come up, and of like, you know, who deserves to live forever and all that jazz. Okay, 2 more questions. I'm like grilling you now. Do you prefer like books, movies, or TV shows about vampires?
Books aren't always going to be number 1, I think, because you can do the most with them.
Yeah.
And then, so, I mean, Buffy was then the big...
Movie or show?
The show.
Yeah, I was like, the movie's...
No, I mean, he made the show because he couldn't... The movie sucked, so...
Dang.
He's not wrong.
No, it's bad.
I fell asleep. I was a huge Buffy fan, and I watched the movie, and I fell asleep.
Yeah. Because I think you can do more with it. And I think that TV shows kind of get the whole thing of like monsters are supposed to be metaphors thing that films don't necessarily.
Yes, Buffy did that really well. Yeah. Fantastic. And then my last question is, have you seen Twilight?
Oh gosh. Okay, wait. How many minutes in? 2 minutes into about 3 minutes into our post talk, she's already talking about Twilight.
So
Okay.
To be fair, we based everything.
Don't.
Yes, it was you who said, "Well, in Twilight."
Yeah. So Twilight's
Bukola
funny.
will not even
so
look at me.
I was my love of vampires was known amongst people. So I was gifted the box set of the Twilight series, and I read the first one, and I threw the book across the room, and then I read the second one to give it a shot, and then I did not finish. I did not start the other 2.
What?
I love that. I love that people like knew you as the vampire guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then I watched the first 2, and this is not happening.
Okay,
No.
man. Oh, I love that. Well, okay, so Once Bitten came as a recommendation from you. So will you tell us a bit about...
I feel like I should not recommend. It's like one of those things I was just like, oh, I remember watching that vampire movie a while back. It has Jim Carrey in it. It should be funny. No.
So why don't you start us off with your thoughts on what we just watched Once Bitten. Yes, there was a song in there called Once Bitten, but it was not the Wham! Last Christmas that we thought it was going to be.
Yes.
So take it away, Nikhil.
I think that it didn't age well, but also it probably wasn't funny to begin with. But it was a career starter for Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And you got to see him, like, starting to do stuff.
He's a baby.
He
I
is a
almost
baby.
didn't recognize him when he first came out. Like,
Yeah.
if I didn't know that this was a Jim Carrey movie, I probably would have been like, oh, that kid looks vaguely like Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Also, it's not a Jim Carrey movie. He was not number one on the call sheet.
No,
it's not. He probably didn't have too much creative control about.
I think it was his first movie.
Yeah, like
That's
it's
crazy.
not a Jim Carrey movie at all. Actually,
Which is interesting because Bukola and I were talking about it in the intro. We were like, when you hear that Jim Carrey is going to be in a movie, there's like a certain expectation that goes along with that. We were talking about how it's similar with like Eddie Murphy when we watched Brooklyn or Vampire in Brooklyn. We like had a certain. Oh, so good.
Oh my
so
gosh,
good.
so
We
good.
could go on, but you make a really good point. Yes, there's a certain expectation that comes with a Jim Carrey movie. This was not a Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah.
This was a movie that Jim
Jim Carrey
Carrey
was in.
happened to be in.
Yes.
Which was really interesting.
Great dancer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there was this.
Very, like, surprisingly good dancer.
Yeah, and his girlfriend, like, clearly professional dancer.
Yeah.
There was a lot. Bukola pointed this out a lot. I'll let you talk about the music video aspect.
Me? Oh,
yeah.
There was full songs in the movie, like full songs in the dance sequence. They literally did a dance that went to the song about like stealing the boy. And
That was
that.
funny.
And it was great.
It was like
because
hands off.
Yeah, because and
That was great.
Nikhil, you brought up the point like when did Footloose come out? Because that's exactly the kind of feel that you got from it.
It's Footloose and Flashdance.
Yeah,
I think it's just like these classic 80 things.
It was funny. I was getting like Grease vibes. And then especially when they broke out into the big dance. And then when she comes out dressed in leather, we were like, oh, this is just Grease, but with vampires.
It's the high school.
It's the
high school thing.
It was so... this movie would not get made now because it does deal with a lot of like weird adult teenager sexual relations. And I feel like they made one attempt to be like, oh, he is 18. Like one vague... kind of. He's like, oh, I'm 21, but people tell me I could pass for 18. I was like, okay, I think that's their way of saying, like...
Well, I think they were hiding the fact that he was a high schooler, because you don't know that he's in high school until he's in high school.
Yeah.
Because, they do the first scenes in this weird carnival park
thing.
So it's like, okay, he could have graduated and just is not, like, not in college yet, or, like, didn't go to college or something like that. Summer job thing, sort of thing. And then it goes directly into that phone.
This is very, very cute
place.
phone
themed
bar where you sit at a table and you can call other tables. And I think that we should bring that back.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's super cute.
We were laughing. It's like an old school app. You're still connecting through a phone. You kind of get a glimpse of the person.
Yeah.
That's funny. No, I also thought that this one was really... like interesting in terms of like you made a good point of like it was definitely billed and marketed as a comedy, but it was not necessarily like laugh out loud funny. It was more of like a...
It wasn't even a chuckle funny. It wasn't a giggle.
Oh, I thought there was some parts
there were funny moments, but the whole like the premise wasn't funny. Does that make sense? Like they had jokes, but it wasn't the whole thing. And I feel like part of it is that thank goodness they got Jim Carrey. A lot of the jokes were it was because like, oh, he's like his facial expression or like this is happening, and then some of the like word jokes didn't always like land.
I feel like
it's like situational.
I feel like they didn't know if they were doing a parody or a comedy.
Yes,
because like the glove joke is a parody type thing. It was a condom joke.
Well, I know. What was that? But what was it a parody of?
Of like that
like teenage
thing of like not knowing what it.
Sorry,
like
I thought you meant parody as in it was like taking pieces of other vampire movies and making like a parody. Because I remember we were like, oh, that's like the Giles character. But you just meant like just like a parody of the time.
Like
a parody
of like teen movies, teen times.
That feels like a scary movie type of joke.
Yes.
That's
such a good point.
Versus like. Versus like a comedy, which is like we're gonna put you in situations and actually do things that are funny.
And like comedies are actually very smart. Like it is a lot of wordplay and it is a lot of just like witty. I would almost say like a little more grounded in their jokes. Where this one was just like, yeah, it's a weird situation to begin with, so we're just gonna like throw it all out the window.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that as a parody. I feel like it did lean more towards that. And I just can't stand, something I can never stand in movies is faulty logic. So like something that was really bugging me in the end was when they have, Jim Carrey's character is like running away, and the Countess has all of her vampires going after him. And they're like busting through walls. They're busting up like brick walls. They're busting up through the stone floor. And then they're running. And the girl, like Jim Carrey's girlfriend, opens a door and hits one in the head, and it knocks him out. I was like, I'm sorry, you can break through a brick
Cement,
wall,
flooring,
that you
brick
can
walls.
like, but a 16-year-old girl's fleshy punch is gonna take you down, or
She
like the
might be
slam of
very
a door.
strong.
She might
She
be
works
very
out.
strong.
She works
But
out.
if you're stronger than a brick wall, I feel like punching you feels like punching a brick wall, and that would hurt anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like I don't like when the rules of a world are inconsistent. And I think that is like one thing that if you do fantasy or anything that's like mystical, like you have to set rules and then you have to stick to them, because we're already trying to figure out the rules of the world. And then if you then are consistently breaking them when it's convenient for you, I don't know where we are anymore.
Yeah.
Especially when it's in the same scene.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
that gets a little
Yeah, if
lazy.
it was a continuity issue, I would be a little bit more forgiving, but it's not. It's not. It's the same scene.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. And like, or like I even said like, oh, something that's really frustrating me is like, if she's this all-powerful person, like, why isn't she just killing the other 3 friends?
Yeah.
And like Nikhil was like, well, it's not that kind of movie. But it's like, but if you're gonna like introduce this kind of ruthlessness as, well, I guess she didn't really kill
she
anybody
wasn't
else.
She didn't kill-
ruthless.
no
She
one
didn't kill
died.
it.
So okay, I guess you're right. I guess that did keep with the rule of that. They didn't explain if there was like a rule against it. Because she was also drinking mostly from bottles.
Bottles,
She had,
yes.
like, you know-
And she had like a dead pigeon in her
Oh, that
fridge.
was weird. That was weird. That was uncomfortable.
to keep it fresh, you know.
Keep it fresh. Midnight snack.
Midnight
Which
snack.
which is something that I like when movies do with vampires, that they're not just killers. Actually, because
So you sound like you're a fan of Twilight.
no.
Okay, sorry.
No,
I had
no,
to.
no.
I just slipped that in there.
Yes, move a little closer to me.
Yeah. What are you doing, Bukola?
Just talk, Nikhil.
Call her
My
Countess.
goodness. Ew.
No, it's like, I think we have werewolves, and that's the epitome of monsters that are just monstrous and
Werewolves?
are not.
You think so?
Are not that are not human anymore, or like zombies and stuff like that. I think vampires are kind of the only monster, or at least gothic monster, that we get that retain that sort of humanity to them.
Yeah.
And so like my question is always like, when you are an apex predator amongst humans, why are you living in the shadows?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But
why
a
aren't
lot
you?
of things now are like, or a lot of movies I've seen now are like, oh, humans have advanced. Humans are a threat now.
Mhm.
Humans have figured out how to fight back with us. Because you're right. It's like, well, theoretically, you could just kill everyone or whatever. But I think it's interesting that shows now are addressing that.
Mhm.
They're like, hey, here's this major plot hole in our world that people are going to point out.
Yeah.
Let's
Mhm.
make something.
Yeah, because it's true. Like, if that's the case, then like, and I know the argument of like, well, humans are the food,
Right.
but like, I'm not nice to chickens.
Yeah.
Like, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I am nice to chickens. I did hang out with a chicken yesterday. Fun fact, I really
What?
did.
Where
Yes,
were you?
I was on set. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
Anyway, but like, we aren't avoiding chickens and letting them do what they want to and then just plucking them whenever we want to. No, we're like, we have them in terrible farms that are bad for them.
Mhm.
And why wouldn't they do that to humans and have them just be like in a
like
corner?
farm a human.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
have like like that's what vampires would do.
Mhm.
They do that
Because
in-
they are-
They do that in the Blade series, I think.
Oh.
Really?
It's like they start to introduce like just
Oh.
packaging humans
Oh.
and having them be basically blood bags, like living blood bags for them.
Oh, that's stressful. That's so stressful.
But that's the natural, I think,
Yeah, that
progression
would
of
be-
that.
yeah.
Just like, it's kind of matrixy of just like the machines use you as a battery.
Yeah.
Because that's all that you're really useful for
yeah.
in that society. But like, what I like about stories that Anne Rice writes is that it's all about being human forever, and that the cost of being human forever is that you have to drink blood.
Yeah.
But it's like the desire to be a vampire is not to be a monster, it's to live forever.
Oh, yeah.
That makes sense. Wow.
And so in the Anne Rice novels, do they make it, because I know like a lot of them too, it's like when we were watching Vampire Academy and they were talking about like you could become like one of the immortal vampires, but you also got power, immortality. Like it was more about like power and strength, but then in exchange you got that uncontrollable bloodlust. So does Anne Rice also have the like crazy power that comes with it, or like the strength, or like was it just immortality of like I want to stay?
It's immortality and it is strength. I think speed. I think the way that she describes it is like your mind opens, and so like every part of like you become the best human possible in a way, where it's just like you become the fastest, you become the like your abilities as a human are no longer tamped down. Yeah. So you become strong, you become fast, you become
I like that. And it's like who's worthy of handling that responsibility. Yeah. That's interesting.
Oh, that is interesting.
I like that. Speaking of just like different vampire lores, I kind of something we talk about a lot is what tropes did this movie stay true to? And I'd say like the main one obviously was sunlight. They were never out, right? They were never out in the morning.
He was.
But he was transformed.
He was transformed.
And he kept being like, oh, it's super bright. So, and then he was even like, oh, it's almost sunrise. You guys need to go to bed. Yeah. So sunlight, crosses were not a thing.
Crosses were not a thing.
She even said that's only in movies.
In the end, though. Girlfriend.
No, she put it up, and then the woman was like,
I'm
ha
an
ha
atheist.
Ha, just kidding.
Got it.
Yeah. Boom.
Wasn't a thing.
So crosses weren't a thing. The not showing up in mirrors was a thing. And then they had this one moment, and this is where I agree with you, Nikhil, where it felt very much like a parody, where Jim Carrey breaks like this wooden thing. What was it, a chair or something? Yeah. And he suddenly has this like really sharp, pointy stick, and literally all three of us were like, "Oh, he has a stake now." Yeah. And then Robin punches the vampire. Jim Carrey looks at the stake and then throws it away, and I was like, that felt weird. Like that felt like they were trying to be like, oh, ha ha ha, look at this vampire trope, but then they like didn't use it, and I was like, but here's the problem. Because they were so inconsistent, I wasn't sure the filmmakers were fully aware that they were doing that. I was like, do you know you're doing like a little nod to that, or is this just like you're like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if
I feel like someone
they must have, they had to, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that they knew and that they kept dropping little gems like that. So like that's just, again the same scene as the cross or like little stuff like that. So I feel like that would be a thing.
The fire was a big one in this one, and I feel like that's a kind of like a lot of the vampires movies have that as like the second part, like you have to stab them and then burn them, or you have to dismember them and then burn them.
Okay, true, but like who is not afraid of fire? No one. So I don't know if that's a vampire trope or that's just like the thing. Yeah, it's just a thing. Like animals, like we're all afraid of fire. So I don't know if it was like because they had candles in the house. If they were that afraid of fire, why would they set up candles?
But that's what I mean.
In a fully lit house.
The inconsistency is like that was another thing. You were exactly right. Where they set this rule of we're deathly afraid of fire. It's like one of the one things that can harm us. But we're now going to have fire everywhere. That's what was driving me so crazy. Yeah. And then also, or when they were, you made the good point too of like, she's like, I need virgin blood. His two friends were also virgins, and they just ignored them completely. It's like, it seems like you could have maybe just fed from them 3 times. Or
like each one get one.
Yeah. And then there was also just when the friends were fighting them up with the fire, and the one vampire just like blows it out. I was like...
That was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, that was so funny.
I was so annoyed though. I was like, why didn't you think? Like, I hate when characters are stupid. Like, why didn't you think about this literally 5 minutes ago when your homeboy was still here? Like the one that you needed to get. Yeah. Bukola, why don't you talk to us about Sebastian?
Sebastian is my favorite character.
MVP.
Sebastian is MVP. Sebastian carried this movie on his back. Did not waste a frame of this movie, okay? He was serving looks every time you saw him, okay? There was so the director was doing this thing where they kind of set it up like this, so like 2 people would be talking like that. And then there would just be like Sebastian in the middle, or like a group of friends in the middle. And it got so bad that you were just watching the person in the middle. Like sometimes I wasn't even watching the scene, and I was just like, what are those people talking about in the back?
And she's right there. Be like, there was like, they were in the middle of a courtyard, and there was just like a whole group of people just like stopped in the middle of the grass had a
this point.
conversation.
And then dispersed at the same
dispersed.
time.
I also feel
evenly.
the extras did not know how to walk in this one. Because all of a sudden they were like walking their shoulder and legs going
Did you see
the
that one
same
guy
time.
who had his hand in his pocket and he was walking like this? And I was like, sir, where is your backpack? Like, I had so many questions.
You're in high school. Where is your bags? Where are book? You know, like, what? Why are you outside right
Oh, that guy
now?
was not even bringing a
class.
pencil to class.
Yeah,
he was...
No one had anywhere to go. No one had any classes during this one period.
He
Not
was there to
one
get his
person-
120 for 8 hours, and that was it.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
You said 120 for 8 hours. That's so funny because it wouldn't be that much in 84.
Oh, I know.
Anyway.
$7.
$30 for 8 hours. Oh gosh.
It was really.
I think I enjoyed it only because we knew it was going to be problematic, and so I think I had fun looking for the problematic things and being like,
yes,
nope,
problematic,
nope. White man with the Indian accent.
Yes, I was about to say. Speaking of problematic, one of the guys dressed up as Gandhi. I wasn't paying enough attention, and Nikhil was like, "Is he dressed up as Gandhi?" And I was like, "Nah."
No, and he said it too. Without the glasses and without something or the like, it was bad.
Oh no,
It was bad.
There was honestly already.
And for
too
all you
much
podcast
happening.
listeners, I'm Indian, so.
Have you heard the ones where I like tell people like, "Hey, I'm black," and I didn't say that. Julia, the white woman, said that. There are several times that I've said this in the podcast. Because Julia be like, white people. And I'm like, I, the black woman, did not say that. Julia is calling out her own people.
Oh God. Okay, but you lead me right to it. You go, wow, guess who does stupid stuff like walk home alone at night and take shortcuts through Brooklyn? And then she sits silent, and I go, is the answer white people? And she goes, oh, it wasn't me. It was Julia.
First of all, was I wrong?
No.
But it was just like, there was stuff that did not hold up. The fact that they basically guilted this teenage girl into sleeping with Jim Carrey's character, like Jim Carrey's girlfriend.
That felt very 80s. Like I was getting some like very like Saturday Night Fever vibes, where it was just like all very, there was that awful scene where she was like, she was apologizing for not wanting to sleep with him. And he was like, it's okay. Like, I'm a teenage boy. I'm supposed to make mistakes and cheat on you. And you're supposed to tell me no. Like, it was just every bad. Like, I swear to God, it felt like they sat in my abstinence classes in Texas and just transcribed my teachers and then put it into this movie.
Wow.
Yeah, same in North Carolina.
Oh, gosh. Southern states.
Yeah.
I'm from New York. They were throwing condoms at us in like 6th grade. I'm not kidding.
I think I have to take that out. Catherine's going to have a literal heart attack.
I'm so sorry, Catherine. Catherine's her mother.
My very Catholic, very Midwestern mother.
It's going to show up on the YouTube though. Anyway.
It's okay. She doesn't know how to work it.
Great. But yeah, like that was an issue. I could have sworn I walked in with my Bloody Mary, and now that's
Is
gone.
it there? Is it that one?
No, that's mine.
Oh.
We had Bloody Marys.
We had Bloody Mary.
We did. My first one.
Nikhil made them. They were delicious.
Nikhil made some
Thank you so
fabulous
much.
Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
They were like decked out. We've got pickles, garlic, olives, tomato juice. We got it all.
I was like, I want to see how many of the ingredients she's gonna get right.
Jalapenos.
Yeah.
There we go. This Bloody Mary has everything.
Brought to you by
Stefan.
I don't understand.
No, SNL. Okay, anyway.
Oh, I didn't understand.
Okay. Our resident New Yorker doesn't watch SNL, so.
I do watch SNL, just not often. Just not all the time, yeah.
Bill Hader isn't even on SNL anymore.
Oh, yes, with the hair. Yeah. I'm so dumb.
This Bloody Mary has everything. Pickles. Olives. Okay, we'll cut all this out.
Let's say it in now. This is in. What else about this movie?
I want to get like an overall, did you enjoy yourself? Like whether or not it was good or like, because you can watch trash and be like, but I had a good time. Because I think overall, I'm glad we watched it. Like, but mostly because it was good to like track the changes and be like, this is different now. I wouldn't do that. I felt like this was a learning experience. Like, I felt like I just went to class and was asked, why isn't this movie work? Like, why doesn't this movie work? And you know what I mean? And I was gonna be like, oh, well, the inconsistencies of the world, like, the rules don't make sense. Like, it's very questionable in terms of, like, and I also think it's interesting to see, like, and this isn't new, but, like, how comedy changes. Because I do wonder if this was considered hilarious at one time.
I don't think so. If we looked at the
reviews...
But
I don't... Even Nikhil was like, I feel like I remember this movie being funnier.
I do. I saw it a long time ago. And I only remember seeing... Yeah.
So many longs. I'm so sorry.
But you know what's also scary? Or are we too... Like, does it... And this is creepy. But does it appeal to, like, young boys? Like, are they like, oh whoa, yeah, like an older woman...
Yeah,
like, which makes me uncomfortable to think that someone wrote it with that in mind.
This reminds me so much of Weird Science. If you've seen that
movie,
like it's that same type of thing that was happening in the 70s and the 80s, where which is the American Pie brought that genre back.
It's like teen sex, right?
Like young boys wanting to have sex for the first time and like going about it in ridiculous ways. But I think what was novel about this concept was it kind of flipped who was the predator and who was the prey, because usually in vampire stories it's the young innocent female that's being preyed upon by
dressed
the
like
older...
Bukola in a cute, pretty, sweet dress. If for you podcast listeners, she's wearing an adorable dress, the one that we said she was going to go night apple picking in.
Thank you. They still don't know. They were still listening to it earlier.
Well, yeah, that's okay.
Anyway.
But that's such a good point.
That is a good
point. A really cool flip, a flipping of a trope. Because that is a real trope, is like, you know, young, innocent.
And like, to the movie's credit, I think Jim Carrey played the nervous first-timer. Yeah. Like, in a place that that he's not comfortable in. I think he played that well.
Yeah. Definitely.
And, you know,
And actually, I'm glad you did bring up, like, the young woman trope, because they even poked fun at that in The Dream. They did the iconic scene of, like, young woman on a bed and Jim Carrey coming up, picking her up and, like, biting her neck. And it was, like, very, like, Bela Lugosi era, like, vampire. And so it was, I agree with you. It felt like a weird mix of comedy and parody, and it didn't know which one it was.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't know if part of that was the Bloody Mary.
Could be.
Yeah, great job.
But I also feel like I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if I know that a movie is going to be bad 10 minutes in, then it's easier to watch. Because I'm not
expecting too
much from it, and I can actually be like, that's ridiculous. And I think it was you, Bukola, who said, like, they had a lot of fun making this film.
Yeah,
when they were in it. Yeah. You know, because that whole dance sequence was probably hilarious.
Or we were even talking about at the end when the vampires are chasing Robin and Jim Carrey's. I was like, Robin is laughing. She is cracking up because this is so ridiculous and so funny. And you're right, like, they're having a blast. Like, they're running around, they're popping out at each other. They're all wearing, like, I had to wear fake teeth like that for our photo shoot. They're awful and they fall out, so they were probably cracking up about that. Yeah. Like, I totally agree that this was probably so much fun. And, like, I feel like that's, like, a very big thing in theater and as well as film of, like, the show sucks, but we're having a great time. It's like, we don't even care.
And if you have ever been an actor that has had to hiss at someone and just pose, it is the most hilarious thing that you will ever do.
Have you had to?
I think I did it once in, like, an audition or something like that. And it's hilarious to just, you know, bare your teeth and go at someone.
I know I told you guys this story while we were watching. I must have told this story before on this podcast, but, like, I had to do that for an audition one time where it was like, it literally, I think it said, like, vamp out. So I like did this, like, and, like, you know, like the hands, I did not know what I was doing, so I got, like, claws out of nowhere, and I was super embarrassed because there was, like, a person operating the camera, and it was, like, not a casting director, it was just, like, someone at Hollywood Casting and Film who's literally just, like, paid to hit record. And so I, like, tried to do it really quickly and make it end quickly, so I just went, like, okay, thank you, bye. Like, it was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable.
Yeah, but isn't that the fun of like being an actor? Like part of it is just embarrassing yourself.
Like,
it's just,
I
like, you
can
just
do
gotta
that
get
better
really
on
used to-
stage. I don't mind making a
Yeah.
fool of myself on stage. There's something about like
The camera guy being right
like
there, like
the camera guy not giving two craps about what you're doing,
just
and being like,
focusing, like,
and you're just like, okay, this is uncomfortable.
cool. We done. We're moving on. All right.
Have you gotten to be a vampire in anything? No.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I feel like we need to change that.
Yeah.
So, okay, perfect.
we'll
Would
start
love to.
drafting.
Oh, so this is something else. Does India have any vampire legends or myths? I think it's interesting.
It is interesting, but we're still having a debate because I was like, we don't do that in Africa. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, we're still fighting about it. She claims there's no vampires in Africa.
The white lady can't tell me that there are vampires.
I'm
in
not
Africa.
telling you. Twilight had a slash kidding. I'm so kidding.
Twilight did have a whole thing. We're not
Twilight
gonna talk
a
about
whole
it. She
thing.
is right, but it makes me mad.
So I feel like the whole vampire like mythos and what create, because weren't they? I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I believe that the myth of the vampire arose from the chupacabra.
Oh.
Or like it arose from animals that did drink blood of cattle first, and I believe that that's how it got started. And so there are a lot of legends around creatures that drink blood in various cultures, and in India there are rakshasas, right, which are demons, but they're cannibalistic. They're thought to be cannibalistic, but also that's also historically like racism, because it was like a different part of India when that story was being written and stuff like that. So like they all came from a certain part of Sri Lanka, like it was like that in itself was racism essentially. But I believe that would be the closest thing that we have to a
Interesting.
vampire.
It sounds like almost like your version of like succubi, kind of like That's cool.
Which I believe also like succubi are iterations of vampires.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well, it was really just my roommates from, or her grandmother's from the Ukraine, and they had the like countess that used to like bathe in blood, which honestly I think is what this movie was based on, because there was like a countess who thought, I think exactly. I mean, she didn't drink it; she bathed in it, but she was kind of known as Ukraine's like first, or maybe she was Hungarian. I'm actually not sure, because as I say it more, I'm like, wait, I think I'm getting my story mixed up. But basically, yeah, there was like an aristocratic woman who would bathe in virgin blood to keep herself youthful. Oh, voice crack. Youthful. There we go.
I mean, that was the basis for Charlize Theron in Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oh,
right?
that's
doing that thing, like that whole.
She like went into that like gold pool,
that like milk bath.
Oh,
that Elmer's glue bath.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's so right.
I remember that. It was just like, she looks cool.
So great.
She looks really good.
So creepy.
I like that we're having three very different experiences about this.
But I mean, but that idea, like, have you guys seen Dr. Sleep?
No.
Because I feel like the bad guys in that are also iterations of vampires, but they don't drink blood. They suck your shine.
Oh,
so it's
like your
your
life force.
Like your life
yeah.
force. Yeah. So it is very vampiric.
Yeah.
In a way. Because they do live forever through that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, put that on the vampire list.
Yeah. Dr. Sleep, it's called?
Is it a movie or a TV
It's
show?
the sequel to The Shining.
Oh, I was not expecting that.
I don't feel those urges.
So it's if you've seen The Shining, it's the kid has grown up and still is being haunted by what happened in the hotel.
Yeah.
And then other things happen.
And is he the one sucking life spirits?
No. He's he has kind of visions, and he's able to it's
that kid cannot catch a break.
It's like very supernaturally oriented.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it. I'm probably not gonna watch it, and you can't make me.
Have you seen The Shining?
No.
Oh.
You need, I mean, like, how many like, I'm curious how many of like horror vampire stuff have you seen?
We watched Let the Right One In,
which is fantastic.
Amazing. So good.
It was really good. It was very
which
dark.
Again, like, got the metaphor aspect and played with the monstrous aspect
Yeah.
of vampires really, really well.
That one was wild.
Yeah. And it was really weird to be rooting for a bunch of 12-year-olds, but like...
Oh, no, my phone's out. I was like, going to look through our list to see if we did any horror. Oh, yeah, rooting for...
Yeah, I don't have my phone on me either.
But, no, I think that was the only horror.
The horror.
We watched a couple that, like, claimed they were horrors and then, like, weren't. Like, Dracula wasn't really...
Which one was Dracula? Who was in it?
Winona Ryder.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah, no, that one was just like... It was a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
Yeah. That's what
It's
we've
like
been
the
finding with a
pure-
lot of these like book adaptations is that there's just too much to fit in. And if you understand the context behind a lot of the looks or the quick scenes, like you'll get more. But they just couldn't take every single aspect but they tried. That was the problem. Like they tried to take every single aspect and just like kind of like your Reader's Digest. They tried to do a little abridged version of every single plot line in the book, and you're like, I don't know what's happening anymore.
Yeah.
I'm lost.
Yeah. Although Gary Oldman was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic in that.
Like, that's some of his best work.
It was really like wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I thought Keanu Reeves was quite adorable. His accent
He just couldn't do an accent.
I didn't think it was that terrible. I also am not like English.
Exactly.
So I didn't think it was horrible.
Neither was he.
Yeah. I think he was trying his hardest and he was doing his damnedest, and then he showed up to work.
Yeah, and collecting his paycheck.
Yeah, like I ain't mad at it.
Love
Sweet,
it.
sweet boy.
So I guess just final thoughts on Once Bitten. Do you want to start us off, Nikhil?
It's a fun time if you know that it's not the greatest film. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
It's a fun time.
It's a good time.
Sebastian, it's great.
Sebastian. Watch it for Sebastian.
Watch it for Sebastian. Like, truly, I wish there was like a drinking game where like every time Sebastian gave a look or like you'd be trashed.
I mean, just going back, I feel like this movie had a lot of like smart things about it. Like the whole mirror makeup thing was.
Oh, that was.
Oh
cool.
yeah, that was really cute.
That was smart.
They were doing her makeup through basically like an old-fashioned ring light.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was someone else doing it through someone else painting the makeup on her, but they didn't even reference why, but someone who knew lore about vampires would be like, oh, they're doing that because she can't see herself in a mirror, and that's the only way that she can actually do makeup.
Yes, you can never see your own reflection,
and I was like, that's smart.
Yeah.
And they used the mirror trick because that was something we had talked about in another movie. Is they had done these like mirror shots, and we kept being like, oh, we expected them to like use that as part of the vampire lore, and they never do. And this one did. Like this one did the whole like, I'm there, I'm not. Oh my god, this means I'm turning into a vampire. And it was just like, yes, maybe it was a little cheesy and it was a little heavy-handed, but it was just like so nice that they actually used it. I mean, like, have the mirror or don't, but if you have the mirror, use it.
Yeah. Also very 80s tech.
Oh yeah, Nikhil, wait, tell him what you noticed about the mirror.
So there's a scene in.
Oh yeah.
There's a scene in a
dressing room,
and when Jim Carrey is alone, they have an actual mirror there, and he's not actually the countess is not being reflected. But when both of them are in the shot, they're trying to not have the countess give a reflection, but they want Jim Carrey to have a reflection, so they took out the mirror and had a extra try to mimic his moves. So you saw the back of this person's head, and the guy is just not syncing up with Jim Carrey at all. And there's just like very, very, very clearly two people there.
Yeah, it was nice. I enjoyed that.
Like Jim Carrey steps backwards and his reflection steps forwards.
Yeah,
and you're like, what?
Or Jim Carrey's not moving, and the other guy.
Yeah, it's like having a party back there.
I'm getting paid. I'm getting my $7.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That's great.
Oh my gosh. Something else that was super dated was like the girlfriend had the best friends look at Jim Carrey's inner thigh. And they had this whole scene where they're in the shower and they're trying to see his inner thigh. And
so
they start yelling a gay slur, and it's a whole big like moment of like, oh my gosh, they're gonna think I'm gay. No one cares now. Like now that would not be a strong enough plot line to even make it into the movie. Like one of the friends would have been gay.
It was really inconsistent though, because they had Sebastian, who had like closet jokes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Several
literally
times
emerging out the closet
there.
every 2
Like, there was one,
seconds.
she was like, Sebastian, get out of the closet, and he opens the door, he goes, darling, I've been out for centuries.
And then they had at the phone bar, the friend walked over to I guess at that time either trans or crossdresser,
yeah,
right? So they had that.
Yeah, but they had him negatively reacting, so I guess that kind of lined up.
Yeah,
with that the slur scene. But you're right.
Yeah,
no, Sebastian was amazing.
But it was like a callback. But it was kind of a callback to like some like a hot. It was like doesn't really matter sort of deal.
Yeah.
Because this is who, and like it's not. He was just rejecting. It's not like you're gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he was just like, no,
I'm
not for that. And then they
Had
regressed.
Yes,
for the bathroom
exactly.
scene. And then had a very long conversation
about it after, where dude was like, let's just get his and his like bathrooms. And I was like, I love this one moment, you're now planning your life.
Your entire life.
Your entire
it's like, let's move
life.
in together, get his and his towels.
And I was just like, I love this for you, if that's what you want.
The realization on the friends, when he was like, you could have just asked. He was like, we could have just asked. We wanted to do it. We wanted to look.
They could have just asked. And I said that as soon as it happened. I was like,
yeah,
I
Bukola
turned
stopped and
Nikhil.
took to poll. But I
was like,
Bukola
Nikhil.
was like, who?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you let your friend look at your inner thigh? And Nikhil had some reservations about his friends
like if
randomly
that was,
looking at his inner
if
thigh.
that was the question, like, can I look at your inner thigh? Like, I think in any situation is not going to be the right question to ask.
Well, I don't understand why not. If me,
Well,
Julia,
then Bukola turned to me. She was like, would you let someone look at your inner thigh? And I looked down at my dress. I was like, you can see my
Inner
see
thigh
it
right now.
Like, it's just.
I don't know. Like, I feel like as your friend, if I sent another one of our male friends to be like, hey, can you go look in Nikhil's inner thigh? And they were just like, hey, Nikhil, Bukola's worried about you. I'm not making a good point. I'm done. I'm so done. Nikhil was like, I don't understand where this situation would come up and why I would say yes or no. Why would this even be a question that I need to answer? And that's what your face is saying right now. So
yeah, I don't need to answer that question because I think you've answered it for yourself.
Anyway, but yeah, that was a whole moment. It was fun. It was cute. And then they also, she wouldn't sleep with him in an ice cream truck, but she did sleep with him in a coffin. But the inside of the coffin was, standards, was very plush.
Yeah, it was silky and satiny, and it lasted less than a minute, as the Countess pointed out to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think all in all, I don't think I would watch it again. I probably would not recommend it to somebody just because there's enough cringy stuff that I wouldn't want them to think that I thought that was the height of comedy. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be nervous that they'd be like, oh, Julia loves this movie, and it is not okay. Like, but I kind of see why, like, it got a 91% by the people and, like, 10% by critics. Yeah. So...
I didn't even look up the...
Oh yeah, Fandango. Oh. Fandango got like, I guess it was Fandango, got like a 91, and then Rotten Tomatoes got a 10%.
Yeah, there was a huge discrepancy between critics and people.
Yeah, it's not a good film, but it's a fun. It's a fun.
But it's a fun
thing.
one. Yeah, it's a fun, and I agree.
Yeah, and I think if you like go into it knowing that it's going to be a stupid movie. And
if you go in knowing it's from the 80s too, if you're just like, because like there's other stuff, like there's a lot of stuff in like Breakfast Club that doesn't hold up. There's stuff even in the 90s. I remember watching The Wedding Singer and being like, ooh, a lot of this wouldn't fly nowadays.
There's stuff in the 2000s, in the late 2000s, 2010s, that I watched, and I was just like, this doesn't hold up now. Like, and it's a decade later, you know what I mean?
Oh, there have been some pilots that I read from 2018 that are just like, No, not that. Of course, this didn't get made.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's So I'm happy that we're progressing as a people.
Yeah.
And we're starting to at least see it more now and be like, oh, this is not great.
And I think it's a big part of it is also we're getting better at writing.
Yeah.
Like these are the cheap, easy jokes. It's easy to be gross. It's easy to be crude. It's easy to be,
True.
all that stuff. But it's harder to do. Like, I think What We Do in the Shadows would be a harder film to write because it's just smart comedy that relies on like, oh, it's so cute, that's so sweet, it's funny kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think just like you're right. Like as a society, we've kind of come together and been like, let's not perpetuate this thing. But then also, our writing skills have just gotten better.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
And
also
we ask
like,
for more.
Yeah. I also feel like it's hard because I've listened to your podcast before, so I know I've heard you guys say how
We have a fan.
How hard it is to actually translate fantasy into film.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never thought about it that way, but it's so true that it is very difficult to translate fantasy into film, mainly because I think what filmmakers are trying to do is they're trying to make the audience go in wonder at the fantasy, but in the world of fantasy, the people within that world are not shocked.
Yes, that's a really good point too.
Aspect of it, and so it's just like, okay, you're doing it purely for the audience, and I feel like because we are getting smarter, not only as writers, but we're getting smarter as audience members too. We're saying like, oh, just put me in the world. I'll catch up.
I'll catch up. Yeah.
I love that.
But that's exactly, Let the Right One In does that so well. Where like she's crawling up the wall in the back. That's not even the focus.
We talked about that scene so much. We love that scene so much.
It's so fantastic because like I would, as like a novice like filmmaker, looking at it as like a filmmaker, I would be like, let's watch her crawl up the wall instead of watching the thing we're supposed to be focusing on, which is the relationship, and then having the supernatural stuff happen because that's exactly how it happens in the world that we're in the shadows, in the background, in the things that we're not focused on. And if we as an audience are smart enough to look over there, great, you got a good surprise. But if you're just focused on the relationship, you got a good story.
I love that.
It's so good. It's such good.
That was so beautifully put too.
Like, yeah, it's fantastic. And that is very true. Then you have to start looking at like who the audience is. Cause like you said earlier, was this made for teenage boys? And like, is that a big enough demographic? Like, white teenage boys. Is that a big enough demographic to make the amount of money you need to support this movie?
Because that was the demographic for all 1985 films.
That's very true. And it's like, wow. Like it doesn't make sense money-wise now.
If you want to make money, you make a movie for teenage girls.
Yes.
Like you've seen what they do to boy bands. They make them millionaires in like a month.
That's true.
That's why Twilight.
Yeah, Twilight, One Direction, the power of the female masses.
Truly.
Well, before we wrap this up, we have a little initiation gift for you.
I like that you brought the whole bag.
I brought the whole bag. Your very own vampire face.
Nice.
Yay.
I wanted to keep them clean for as long as possible.
I understand. Those are for you.
Yay.
We can sign them if you want.
Let's see him. Put him in.
Oh, you didn't have to.
Yeah, he did. Oh, look at that handsome vamp. Bukola's embarrassed.
I'm so embarrassed.
That looks great.
Why are you doing that? Why are you making so much eye contact with me?
Because I'm a vampire.
Yeah,
now.
he's seducing you. Oh yeah, they did kind of. Sorry, I know I said that was the last thing. But one last thing is they did kind of compulsion. Instead of like looking at her eyes, she just kept doing this like.
It's the finger thing.
The finger
fingers.
thing.
It went through her well manicured.
Yes, she had these nails that made me want to get
my nails done.
Yeah, they were cute. She's just like,
I love it. Awesome. Well, Nikhil, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
My
Guys, this has
pleasure.
been Bite Me. You can learn more about us at playersperformersandportrayers.com, or you can follow us on Instagram at Bite Me the Podcast. I'm Julia.
and I'm Bukola.
And I'm Nikhil.
And we'll see you next time on Bite Me!
Bite me.
Woo!
Fantastic.
Oh my gosh.